So what I'm going to show you first is the general contractor view of everything.
Okay.
So when you first log into BuildCircle, you have the choice of uploading your logo, importing your contacts, and verifying your account and managing your users. We also have tutorial videos that we use as opposed to kind of manuals.
Right.
So if we hop into the contact directory though, do you see how fast that loaded in?
Yep.
We actually load the contacts in locally on the system and then synchronize in the background with a socket server connection.
Right.
So what that does is when you're searching contacts, it feels like a desktop kind of environment. So you'll see if I type a word, the searches update almost instantaneously.
Oh, so right. Yeah, any contact named in, yeah.
Gotcha. Right. So like typically we see people with anywhere from 2 to 12,000 contacts. For some trades in the system. So we've got a really good process for managing that many. We also, all these interfaces are all drag and drop as well. So, you can sort ratings and you can sort by last name or companies or whatever. Yeah. And it's a multi-tiered sort. So you can actually, go by different divisions and stuff like that. And it'll update all these panels. So it's pretty fast and easy to use.
Nice.
And in terms of a contact, so if I click on any user in the system, I get a contact summary that comes up, lists the trade divisions, all the contact information, and also their user summary, which is their status of the subcontractor's login account. So you can see that this user actually has a username called BuildCircle, and they're active. But if the user's kind of halfway through that process, you can see where they're at. And throughout the system, there's an email support. So if you have any challenges with anything, like a user, you just click, this guy can't log in, submit a ticket, and we deal with that. Okay. So we handle all the login supports related to all the subcontractors. Okay. So if I hop into an actual user here, some standard stuff here, right? Company, first name, last name, job title, a rating, and that's an internal rating. Yeah. So none of the subs will ever see what their rating is, obviously. Okay. Notify by fax or email or both. So if you put in an email address, it'll check off notify by email. If you put in a fax number, it'll say notify by fax. But you can also control that yourselves. Good. Phone numbers are in there. Address for the person and private notes. Okay. So if you got a guy that's really great, you can put, this guy's really great and does whatever. If he's really poor, you can put a low rating and say, watch this guy. He doesn't show up every second day or something like that. Yeah. Okay. And then down here is the specializations or trade divisions. So do you guys use a 16 or a 48 or a custom?
We use 16.
Yeah. So on the initial import of your data, what we'll do is, as part of the import process, we'll grab all those trade divisions from that list and pre-populate the trade divisions in here. Okay. But you can also, at any time, go up to the settings at the top and add, edit, and remove divisions. Right? So you have full control over how you want to organize your data.
Yeah, okay.
And then with every contact, there's bid status reports. So, their bid status, whether they're going to bid on a project or not. Okay. Contact modifications is an audit trail of every change to the contact. And project access is when they logged into that particular project and at what time. Okay. Right? So you can go and see if the guy's going to bid on it. You can see who changed a record in it. And you can also see when they've logged in. Yeah. And all these reports throughout the system are exportable as PDFs and spreadsheets. Okay. The other thing is we have other options related to the different exports depending on the context of that report. Any real questions on the contacts so far?
No. It looks somewhat similar, I guess. Right now we're using sort of an internal system, just spreadsheets and that kind of thing. So It's somewhat similar. I don't think the reporting would be quite so accurate, but
Yeah, and more of the reporting for us is done on the project side. So let's hop into the project view really quick. And so you can see last time I was in the system, I left this one open. So when I come back, that project's open in my view.
yeah.
But if we hop into one of these dummy projects here, you know, the pretty standard stuff, right? The name, the bidding start, close date, the dates when the project starts and ends, in case you want to notify the subs of you know, just kind of get a ballpark timing of when the project's going to run.
Yeah.
The project access or address, email notifications. So if you want read receipts on all the correspondence by email, you can check that off. And if you want a cover page of all the faxes going out sent to you directly, you can check that off as well.
Okay.
Description populates the correspondence that goes out, both the emails and faxes.
Okay.
And specializations is a pre-filter for divisions. So, you know, all that you really do is go along here and check off what divisions you got, and then you just drag them over, click save. And then the categories is just on this first search page, how the categorization happens. So, and you can edit these categories as well in the settings panel.
Okay.
From there, you typically add folders and add files. And once you've added a file, you'll see it in here.
Yeah.
And then if we double click on it, we can see the different revisions, and you can make notes on them.
Okay.
From there, you go and add your contacts. So, and selecting contacts is easy as opening the Select Contacts panel. And then you can drag over divisions or individual companies, you know, whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah.
And again, that filtering and sorting is all available in that panel. And then from there, you set someone at your company as the project lead. So that means that all the inbound communication is all directed back towards them.
Okay.
And you can, at that point, you can literally click send notifications and choose the template that you've got. So we'll put your custom, like a custom logo in here for you, and modify these templates to whatever you're using. And then we'll make various ones. By default, we give you 3 different templates to use. But you just choose a template. And down here, we've got do not notify not bidding contacts. So if someone says that they're not bidding, you're not going to send out again to them.
Right.
And don't notify owners, consultants, and architects. So typically, you don't want your stuff going out to them all the time, right?
Yeah. No.
And then you can click send notifications. So if you had 2,000 contacts attached to this project, it'll send out all the faxes and emails and take care of all that for you at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in terms of accountability on that, if you hop into the notifications panel, you'll actually see the emails having gone out, whether they've been opened, whether they failed, whether they clicked through, and the faxes, whether they were successful or failed.
Okay.
Right? And then in terms of history and reporting, the bid status report, we break it down by division so you can get your coverage. And again, these are sortable by the different categories that we have here. So depending on what kind of view, and again, these columns are all drop and draggable, right?
Yeah. Okay.
From there, we got a bid sheet, which is essentially a call list by division. So if you're doing that coverage call, you can just export a copy of it and then pass that list around, which is kind of the way we see people using it most of the time.
Yeah.
Project modifications is an audit trail of every change to the project.
Okay.
File access. So if we go back to that file that we had uploaded, you can see that everybody in this case had downloaded revision 2, but we can actually go back to revision 1 and see this person downloaded it.
Okay.
So say that you upload your notice of addenda twice, you can actually see who downloaded it, the first revision of it, and then contact them directly.
Okay.
From there, we hop into project access. So what we display here is the last time someone logged into this particular project by person and company. And then if you click the plus, you can see the entire history of every time they logged in.
Okay.
And then the final report is the not viewed. So this is people attached to the project that haven't viewed any of the documents. Sorry?
That haven't opened anything.
Yeah, so typically if they're bidding, you know that they got the documents from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you know what that means, right? So
yeah. Pricing to someone else too.
Probably. So from the general contractor side, we've taken a lot of time to make this super easy to use, and it's got that nice desktop feel. So, any kind of questions on this side of the system? Like, do you?
No, it actually looks pretty user friendly. I like the drag and drop kind of scenario. Yeah, looks pretty user friendly.
Yeah, and it's taken a lot of time to get it to this point, but so do you want me to hop into the subcontractor side?
Sure.
So the subcontractors log into a simpler portal because it needs to be simpler.
Absolutely.
So if I log in here, well, let me, whenever they get to this, sorry?
I would create the username and password for these guys?
Absolutely not. What you would do is you just import the contacts, and the system sends out an invitation email with a link in it that they click on, and it's a completely automated process that we support.
Okay.
So if you send out something and a guy says, I can't log in, you pass them to our support team.
Okay.
So because that's what we hear back is that's the number one hassle, right? Someone's Anyway, so they log in and they get a list of projects that they've been invited to. All the general contractors that they're attached to get mixed into one list. And the advantage of that to you guys is it's one password for them to remember. So it makes it a lot easier for them to kind of do this. So if we hop into one of these projects, very clean and simple layout here, and we indicate whether they're going to bid on it, they might be bidding or they're not bidding. So they just click on those buttons. And if they try and close the screen, it'll actually prompt them and say, hey, you haven't entered this data in. So, and then they can view their project files. So, and this lays out exactly the same way it is in the general contractor side. Right, so see the folders are identical here.
Yeah.
So if you're on the phone with someone, it'll actually, like, everything's the same. So they can download individual files, or they can click on the project root and download the whole thing, or individual files as well, or individual folders as well.
Right.
They can also print at Staples. So there's 122 locations that you can print directly to. And we get them like a 20% discount on any printing through them. Okay. So when someone's not in town, it's sometimes handy for them to be able to print it out.
Yeah.
And we also do, if we go to the Android store, you'll see that our app is listed there as well. So there's an Android app. We're just releasing the BlackBerry app this week. So, if you're on site, guys with Blackberries or Android devices can get their files on site. Goes for tablets as well. Okay. So, kind of the workflow that we see people using is they'll post the project as part of either the design build or the bidding process. And then what they'll do is they'll take their subs out that weren't the low bidders. Okay. And then they'll upload their contract and send out a notification to say, sign your contract. Right. Download it and sign it. And then what we see is people just using it generally to organize their files on site.
And as a project, and as a management tool, you could issue, I guess theoretically, you could issue site instructions, change orders and stuff through here much the same way. Yeah,
and it's nice because you can actually confirm that the person downloaded it.
Right.
And because we're a third party and we control the logins, it means that it'll actually kind of stand up, right? So, So that is as fast as I can do a demo of our system.
Well, yeah, it was pretty good. Awesome.